Our titles start with Yippee Productions presents Coming Up, which then fades out to our first image, which is a man standing with his back to a field and industry in the background. It then fades to a second title saying an AMBC motion picture. The camera then fades out from this title to the second image, which is this man's feet on a close-up kicking stones to show that he's wondering about something or that he's thinking. The camera then cuts to a mid-shot of his back and the back of his head with white flashes and the picture going blurred. We now see that it jumps to a flashback in an old Victorian house walking down a corridor as a point of view shot. The sequence then speeds up as we go around the corner and we see a door at the end of a corridor. We see this man's hand reach out, but before we see him open the door, what's behind the door, it then goes back to the first shot. We see the man turn around and then the camera pulls out. We see a second man walk into the picture, and as an over-the-shoulder shot, we hear the first bits of dialogue. After this man speaks, it then jumps to an extreme close-up of the original man's face showing his expression. After this heated discussion, the camera then jumps out, and we're now in our second scene. This is outside the front of an old Victorian house with terrace houses, and this man standing out looking at one particular house. The camera then jumps to an extreme close-up of the side of the man's face showing his expression. The camera then cuts out and we see another extreme close-up of another man's mouth. After this second piece of dialogue, the camera cuts and we see the back of the original man looking down in disgust at the news he's just received. The camera then cuts and we see the first man pulling out a gun. It goes to a mid-shot showing him aiming the gun at the second man. The camera then goes to an extreme close-up looking down the barrel as the bullet is fired. All ambient sound then stops and we only hear music that is edited in later as the man gets shot, and we see a long shot as the man goes to the floor, and then finally an extreme close-up as we see his hand hit the floor to show that he's died. The final titles then come on.